How you doing, everybody? Welcome to PCT Honors. Are we having a good time? Yet. I'm going to do that a few times, so just to warm you up. It is a thrill to do this. I love this night because this is one of those nights where we all come out for the same reason, and that is, well, there's a few reasons. First of all, and I suppose foremost, it is to take a moment as a media organization and not do this on TV and not make a big production of it, but take a moment as human beings. You know, we're all connected to our devices. We all stare into our computers. But on a night like this, we are together, and we're sitting together, we're making conversation, we're catching up. It's a wonderful thing, and we're doing it to honor members of the community who have made a difference, people who have made cultural, educational, and media. Annalisa's here from KFOG. Let's give it up for Annalisa, who has contributed so much to Bay Area radio. I'm a huge fan. Aaron from Flory's Books. Give it up for Aaron, because in the 21st century, doing what he does every single day is so rare and so special. And when Aaron's name appeared on our roster of potential honorees, everybody in the board, I wish you could have seen it, sir, this is the truth, everybody went, yes, that's the guy. If we honor nobody, we're going to honor him, because you get it, sir. You're about community. And that's what a night like this is about. It's about people coming together to make a difference, and for us to say thank you to the people who've made a difference.
The thing about it is that when the trains are running on time, Elaine, you know what I'm talking about. You don't get phone calls. You don't get atta-girls and atta-boys. You don't get people calling you at your office going, you know, you are doing such a marvelous job, such a magnificent job. I love you. No, not us behind-the-scenes communications workers. Maybe that happens to Annalisa. I don't know. Annalisa might get some kudos. No? You don't get kudos at work? Okay. But Elaine knows, and I know, that it doesn't happen very much for us. But oh boy, do we get the phone calls when things aren't going well, when they're not happy, or when somebody from the opposing side put in a comment that they didn't like. And the thing about, and I'll let you all read this, by the way. If everybody, please get a copy of this, because it really doesn't also do you justice, Elaine, in terms of why we should be honoring you this evening. But at least it makes an attempt. But what I want people to realize is that in addition to the work that you don't see, and in addition to the charity work that nobody sees and nobody really appreciates because they don't see, the guff that she has to put up with, and that an editor who is a person who loves this community has to put up with from every side is, let's just say, it's considerable. And the fact that she does it with dignity and grace, and the fact that she does it with an eye toward helping Pacificans communicate, that little media convergence that I was talking about, allowing people to have their voice, and allowing people to have that voice be shared and heard, regardless of what end of the political spectrum it's from, regardless of what issue that they're on about, regardless of what their issue of the day is. The reality is that what she knows is that 99% of those people, regardless of where they're coming from, are doing it with a heart of wanting to help Pacifica. And so knowing that, and the position that Elaine is in, and what she's done, not only in her charity work, but just in her everyday, workaday world, with the dignity and grace with which she does it, I think is something that we need to applaud. And I want to also just put in a plug for the Trib, if I may, because the issue is this. In a world where the media is ever more a conglomerate, community media, whether it be your local television station or your local newspaper, or for that matter, Pacifica Patch, but the idea that the media that you're consuming was written by somebody locally that lives in your community, that has a love for your community, that is something that we need to cherish and that we need to never, ever, ever let go. So for that, I just want to acknowledge and welcome to the stage Elaine Larson, everybody.
Well, thank you, Marty. He's a tough act to follow, but it's been a really great 25 plus years and counting. But I want to thank the PCT board for the honor, but I also want to extend it to not only the staff at the Tribune that works very hard, is very dedicated, loves the community, but also to our many contributors, and also to this community who understand the importance of local news more than ever, And it's just a great place to work and a great place to live, and I hope to keep doing it for a very long time. Thank you.
Yes. Being part of local politics must be one of the most thankless tasks. But our next honoree, whenever I see her, she has a wonderful smile on her face. And she manages to have that smile on her face throughout the rigors of local politics and so many other things. Our second honoree tonight is Marianne Neihardt. And to introduce her, Ginny Jaquith.
In a star-studded galaxy that is Pacifica, Marianne Neihardt shines as bright as the Milky Way on a clear day. She is as energetic and dynamic as a supernova. I'm not going to spend my couple of minutes reviewing her entire background and all of her accomplishments. That would take more time than we have tonight, and you can read about it in the Tribune. Thank you, Elaine and Jane, for presenting all the wonderful bios on our honorees tonight. But I do want to highlight a couple of things about Marianne. First of all, she is professionally accomplished, currently serving as a chief nurse for mental health services for the Veterans Administration hospitals, a position that takes her to VA facilities all over Northern California. And in addition, she's been nationally honored by her professional peers by being named as Nurse of the Year by the American Psychiatric Nurses Association this last year. She is serving in her second term on the City Council and is genuinely dedicated to maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in our community. She's willing to make the tough decisions that help move Pacifica forward. She has championed the Keep Pacifica Beautiful effort, beginning with her leadership of the Rand McNally USA Today Best of the Road contest. Remember that a couple of years ago and how great this community looked, thanks to Marianne. And she also proposed and has worked hard to establish the Beautification Advisory Committee, which works with community groups to beautify areas throughout Pacifica. She values community involvement and participation, supporting and participating in a number of important community projects, the Fog Fest, school district committees and campaigns, the Pacifica Democrats, the Historical Society, and a whole variety of other community projects. Probably most importantly, she's worked very hard with outside agencies to ensure that Pacifica gets its fair share of grants, programs, and services, and revenues coming back into our community. Above all, I would say she genuinely cares about her community. So having said all of that, and make sure you do your homework and read all about her, it's my distinct honor to introduce and congratulate my colleague and friend, Marianne Neihardt.
Jenny, I mean, I'm humbled because Jenny Jaquith has done so much for this community. It's unbelievable. Yes. No, it's about everybody. I want to thank the other honorees. I mean, you guys, everyone in here does a lot for Pacifica, and that's the important part. I am honored. Thank you, Marty. I am touched by this. I am also committed to the fact that there's one thing I know being on council, and that is Pacifica would not survive without all of our citizens. We have an amazing group of people who step up to the plate over and over again in so many different avenues and so many different ways. And that's what makes this community special. It really isn't about me. It's about the conduit in which you find the people that really excel and can make that happen. And with our particular kind of challenges, being out here on the coast and those sorts of things, and also being kind of separated from the county sometimes, It is so important that we have activists in this community that really reach over the hill, join with the county, put our beauty at the use for the county, at the same time work to develop our economics and our base for this community. I can't thank people enough for stepping up every single time I've asked. And that's what all of this is about. So, thank you for the honor. I can't say enough about that, thank you. But more importantly, thank you for Pacifica.
One of our most exciting developments over recent years is when Pacifica Community Television became Pacific Coast Television. And we are now have the privilege of working with and enjoying the company of our friends from Half Moon Bay and down to Pescadero. And the third of our honorees tonight is somebody I had the privilege of meeting for the first time who comes from that part of our coast side. And Roy Salumi is going to be introduced tonight by Supervisor Dave Pine.
Well, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Pine. I actually live in Burlingame. I don't know if there's anyone else here from the Bay side. I'm fortunate to have many, but I'm fortunate to have many friends in the audience, and each one who's seen me tonight has said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And the reason I'm here is to honor my friend Roy Salumi. Roy and I first met back in 2003 when I first joined the Burlingame School Board, and Roy was a recent member of the Cabrillo School Board. And we really hit it off immediately. We were both really in a period of change in our lives where we wanted to make a shift and dedicate more of our time and energy to public service. And Roy has been a fantastic public servant for the Coast Side. Roy is, in his biography, he mentions at the end that he's autodidactic. Did I say that right? Does everyone know what that means? That means to self-educate yourself, to learn. And Roy is always learning, and he always has a great curiosity about what's happening in his community, about how things work. And he brings that spirit to his service in the community. As a school board member, Roy joined the board at a really difficult time when the budgets were really tight and when there was a great debate about where to put the middle school. He made big contributions to solving those issues. He's also made contributions far beyond the school board. He's been very involved in county issues. He served on the civil grand jury where our paths intersected a second time. And he's also the kind of guy who is just always looking for an opportunity to lend a hand. So whether it be at the Pumpkin Festival or supporting the library, you can always count on Roy. So the community here is very fortunate that a person like Roy will step up and lend a hand. And I think he's exemplary of citizen involvement and the fact that everyone can make a real contribution. And you're lucky that Roy is here on the Coast Side. So it's my honor to introduce Roy Salumi.
Hi, thank you. I usually, thank you, Dave. I usually avoid the limelight because I have the sneaking suspicion that public recognition is usually followed by a prison sentence. I'm truly honored. But I'm doubly blessed because through the years, with the things that I've done and been invited to do, I've made some very deep and friendships and lifelong friendships on the grand jury, in city government, at the library, Annie, and with all the things that I've done. So I'm truly grateful. And of course, my wife Marina, who is the true power behind the throne. I'll just say, remind you of one thing. The only thing we truly own is our time. It's really great and appropriate to write a check to worthy causes like this one. But I think that the only thing you truly own is your time. So the time to give of your time is now. If there's something you need to do, if there's something you need to give or teach, the time is now. Don't wait, because life is short. Thank you so much.
I mentioned them before this evening, and I'm going to do it again now, that we have some jewels in our community. And the next person that we are going to honor this evening is responsible for one of those jewels, Florrie's Bookshop. And to introduce Aaron Schlieve, I have Sherry Rose Walker.
Wow, it really is bright. But that's all right. It'll keep my stage fright in check. I just have some personal things to say about Aaron, because it's been the personal relationship that my husband Bob and I have had with him, and before that with his grandmother Mary. My husband Bob and I moved to Pacifica 21 years ago, and one of the first things we did, and I mean the first week, we looked for a bookstore. We found Florrie's Book Company at their original Palmetto location. And going into that store was like going back and back and back into Aladdin's cave to discover incredible treasure. We're both lifelong bibliophiles, and we were absolutely overjoyed to find an incredibly well-stocked bookstore from an incredibly well-stocked mind. And not only did we get to know the books, but we got to know Mary Florrie, who was, as probably most of you know, one of our greatest community treasures. We got to know Aaron when he came to work for his grandmother after high school, and we appreciated his good humor, good service, all the many things he did for her and for the customers. When Mary died and Aaron took over the store, it became immediately clear that he shared not only her passionate love of books and reading, but also her deep conviction that literacy, the love of language and books, and the worlds of experience and reflection they contain are vital to our community and to our culture. But in addition to encouraging reading and the willingness to facilitate that with special orders for anything not on the shelves, Mary and Aaron generously made their store open to a wide variety of community events. They hosted book talks and signings, craft workshops, kids events, poetry readings, and lectures on a wide variety of topics. Talking these over with Aaron one day, I suggested some reasons why a couple of the poetry events he had hosted were not well attended. His response was, "Why don't you come to Florrie's and do a poetry series?" After thinking it over for roughly 4 seconds, I said, yes, I'd love to. Our collaboration on poetry at Florrie's, now in its 3rd season, has simply reconfirmed my sense of Aaron as a deeply committed, kind, and generous person. His store is open 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And on the nights in which I do my poetry series, he stays another 4 hours, helping my husband and me to set up and break down after his own day of work. He is unfailingly gracious, appreciative of the throngs of noisy poets, and is willing to lend any assistance that we need. But it isn't only for my series that Aaron extends his generosity, but any and all who come through the doors of his comfortable and welcoming store. Perhaps it's an odd and antiquated way to describe so young a man, but Aaron Schlieve seems to me a true gentleman and scholar in the best meaning of that phrase. He enriches our community, both personally and professionally, and I feel privileged to know him. Please welcome Aaron Schlieve.
It is bright. right. Hello. First, I would like to thank Sherry for the wonderful, wonderful introduction to me. Thank you. I've got my notes. I'm happy to be here this evening, and I thank PCT and everyone else involved, as well as all the honorees involved with the honors event tonight. I've been working at Florey's now for about 19 years, and I'm proud to say that I am now running the store all on my own, after my grandmother having passed away a number of years ago. As I'm sure you realize, the book business has undergone drastic changes in the last decade, and it isn't always easy keeping a small bookstore going nowadays. I feel that more than ever, it is important to try and connect with and support our local community. Over the course of Florey's 35 years in business, my grandmother, Mary Florey, always strived to have our shop be an important part of the community. As times have changed, I've done my best to keep up with our customers' needs and wants. In the last few years, we've been able to get many more events scheduled at the store than we have in some years past. Attendance at these events varies, but I feel it's important to keep trying and try to attract as many different sorts of folks as possible. It's an amazing feeling having the store full of people all enjoying themselves at one of these events. It's really, really nice. That has been key, I think, in increasing the awareness and engagement of Pacifica with Florey's. I don't want Florey's to just sell books, but to become a valuable meeting place for all sorts of people. And that's why I'm being here honored tonight. Florey's truly would not exist without you. So while I have been chosen as an honors recipient, I wouldn't be here, and Florey's would not be able to continue to exist without all of our new and long-time friends and patrons. I truly appreciate the continued support and friendship. Thank you.
Every community that has as many volunteer organizations as we do finds themselves dependent upon some very, very remarkable entrepreneurs who find ways to raise money. The list of the causes that our next honoree has found ways to raise money is as long as your arm. And to introduce Susan Vallone, Marty, and I.
Thank you, John. Well, what can I say? Jonathan's right. Some people, it's not lost on them, you know, what it takes to create a community and to sustain a community. And with Susan, obviously, we can go on with her record, as Jonathan alluded to, as a business owner. But the reason why Susan's here tonight is because, you know, every time, in our own experience with PCT, when we ask Susan, hey, will you help us? There's never a hesitation. It might be hard getting a hold of her because she's so busy and she's doing so many things. But there's not a hesitation. And the fact, too, and another thing, the fact that she's able to bring divergent voices together. One of the things that I really appreciate, no matter where you are on whatever, whatever side of the spectrum, is somebody who understands and appreciates that there are other voices in the room, and that those voices need to be heard too. And that's something that I think Susan brings. It's something that she brings to the chamber, and it's something that she brings in her everyday life. But I just want to say a personal note of thank you, because she's been such a stalwart and such a friend to PCT in our efforts at the various fundraising and the fall telethon and the things that we do. And she gets it, you know, she understands. And most business owners, you know, they support a lot of causes, and sometimes you get an extra level of awareness, particularly with something that we do. What we do is perhaps a little bit esoteric as compared to some of the other things. You know, there are some charities where obviously, okay, we're feeding the homeless, we're clothing folks, we're doing some things. How does a community TV station do what it does? Why is a community TV station as important as some of these other wonderful activities? Well, Susan gets it because she knows that giving people a voice is just as important as feeding them, because you're feeding their mind and you're feeding the community's mind. So with that said, I just want to say thank you to Susan Vallone, and I also want to mention that she has with the chamber and with some of the beautification and the other committees that she's worked on with the city and so forth, again, exemplified and brought this wonderful, wonderful sense and this ability to work with people. And for that, I just want to say thank you, Susan, and come on up here so I can take a picture with you.
So, yep, that's me, Busy Bee. I want to thank you, PCT, and the board members for honoring me, and also congratulations to all the recipients, too. It has been 8 years of service on the Chamber of Commerce, and today I spoke to Ginny. I was trying to figure out how long I've been on Pacificans Care. I thought maybe 5 years. We figured it's been 7, so it's gone by very quickly, and 4 years in Rotary. To be part of implementing change on so many levels and see ideas come to fruition has been extremely gratifying to me. Years ago, I remember telling my husband that I felt like something was missing. There was something more than just running a salon. And little did I realize that it was serving the community. So, I was never a church kind of person, never raised in that environment, and never had children, so PTO was definitely out of the question. So, not my kind of thing. After the doors of Vision Seaside Spa opened, Don Eagleston, the past CEO of the Chamber, a great guy, asked if I would be interested in serving on the board. At first, I was gun-shy. I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know. What does this entail? Being busy, keeping the business, the door, open. He was describing the obligations, and I finally turned it around in my head, telling myself that it was not just about me, but it was also about my coworkers, and also exposing my business. So my 8-year sentence had begun. I would like to acknowledge also our executive board as an extremely dynamic team. We ran the chamber ourselves for 5 months after Dawn had moved on. Meetings were 3 to 5 times a week to keep us on track. It was either morning, lunch, or dinner. And one morning, Chuck had walked in. We had just been all together the night before. He comes walking in, he looks at all of us, we're having breakfast, and he just kind of, why don't we just get a condo and live together? I mean, it was getting to that point. But I thought probably Mountain Vista Farms probably would have been more appropriate for us with all the stress. It was pretty bad. But our Chamber of Commerce works tirelessly to promote our wonderful city for tourism. Pacifica currently has a media group visiting an extensive itinerary that Miss Courtney Conlin had put together. And I just wanted to bring this to you. And this is going on tonight within the community. This is a writer's travels group that's here. Right now, in the evening, they've met at the Eureka Shopping Center to join the Oceana Art Gallery. And then they're meeting at the castle, McCloskey Castle tonight, for a Pacifica panel introduction from former San Francisco Chronicle travel editor and Pacifica resident John Flynn. After that, let me see here, they have everything from surfing lessons, they're going to the surf spot and enjoying themselves at one of the cabanas, they're going on excursions for Silicon Segway, history tour, Sanchez Adobe Museum. Also group dinners at the Moonraker, Grape in the Fog, VIP at Nick's for dancing and entertainment and dessert. This is going on for 3 nights here, so this is really great. And one of the things I really liked was, it was optional for the writers, crabbing with a new co-side with the Crab King, Andy Pappas. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, so that was great. Courtney did a great job, and I really want to commend her on this. So now Pacific has something to write about now that we are members of the San Mateo County Convention and Visitors Bureau, that we were the only city in the county that was not members. So that was an extreme detriment to us. So a few years later, Christine Stahl, who's a real estate agent here in Pacifica, she had come down to the spa for a service. And I asked her, I knew she was on Pacificans Care, she was a board member. And I asked her if the group would be interested in maybe hosting a fundraiser within the spa, because it's a wonderful place to, as a venue for entertainment. And it was a win-win situation for both parties, and the next thing you know, you're invited to one of their board meetings to drink the Kool-Aid. And beware of board members bearing glasses of Merlot. They'll get you to join. And speaking of Merlot, and Kool-Aid here, Rotary has been such a great asset in my life. I'm very grateful for my Rotary members. They are great mentors and just been a great part of my life. There's such a variety of professions and ages within our club, working for the common good of local and global communities. Globally, Rotarians have almost completely eradicated polio, and it's down to 3 countries. Steve, what are the stats?
We are down to 3 countries, and through yesterday, 33 cases year to date in the world.
Isn't that fantastic? A lot of people really don't know what Rotary does, but that is the main goal, is to eradicate polio within the world. So locally, we have fundraised for the Pacifica PD, for the K-9, collected food for the Resource Center and for those in need, built the Sanchez Plaza, that's right out there, the Rotary Plaza out here in front. In fact, it looks great. I wasn't there for the weeding the other day. Donate time to Seton Clinic, painted the Sanchez Library. We donate dictionaries to the third graders here in town, and donated a roof to Spindrift Playhouse, which is actually, the project starts this Monday. It's great. The best part of serving on these organizations is you develop extended families that will always be part of your life. And now the most important part is supporting PCT Channel 26, our local television station. It provides a forum for discussions, advertising for local businesses, and airs our city council meetings that benefit our local residents. With pending cuts in our city's budget, it is vital to support one of our valued court services, along with many others for the benefit of our community. And again, thank you so much.
The last of our honorees has the privilege of having her voice probably better known than her face. And as she graces the airwaves and has done for a number of years, in order to introduce Annalisa, let me invite another radio personality, Mr. Bill Webster. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. We started the evening today talking about PCT and its ability to be hyper-local. Oh, that was so important. What makes a great radio communicator is being hyper-connected, having the person at the other end of the technology not even realize there's technology there, rather hear a voice and maybe even respond to the voice in their head as if it were a conversation. Not everybody can pull that off. Those who can make the experience of listening to the radio magical. It brings an element of theater to it. And that's how I got to know Annalisa. It's been maybe 20 years you've been on the radio in San Francisco and in the Bay Area. When we first moved here, I knew her first as the voice of middays. As I'm listening to my rock and roll, there was Annalisa. And it was like I had always known her. She had a handle on everything. She knew what I was thinking. I was responding to her in my head. It was kind of weird, actually. And that is what makes radio something that will never go away, those great communicators. Now, in the time that she has lived here in Pacifica, she has become hyper-local as well. A day does not go by where I hear that I should move to Pacifica. I'm an interloper as well from San Francisco. And it's a wonderful place. She loves to be here. Annalisa and I, have both introduced a lot of rock stars, musicians to the stage over the course of the years. It gives me just as much pleasure to present to you Annalisa.
I'm used to just being a voice, so it's so nice to see you all. And I've been to your bookstore, and I've seen your name on signs on front lawns. And when I've gone to your bookstore, Aaron, to get children's books for kids who are coming to visit Pacifica, who I say should come live here, you've said, oh, if we don't have that, I'll order it for you. It's just such a wonderful community. I moved here from the East Coast. My father was in the Air Force, so we moved around quite a bit. So as far as community, it was just, our nuclear family. And coming to San Francisco from Boston felt like home, but not quite. Maybe because of the crazy landlords, I'm not sure. But when it came to buying my first home, my only home, my thank God I have a home, something about Pacifica just felt right. So it feels like home, and it did right away. But now that I'm here, not just a voice, I feel like I can actually become part of the community. So I want to thank you so much for that, because maybe now I can actually do some of those things I've always wanted to do, like, gee, I'd love to volunteer and read to children, maybe at the bookstore. Or, wow, would anybody want to hear my crappy poetry? Maybe at the bookstore. Or could I help feed people, which is what I always want to do. Whenever I'm in San Francisco or ever see anybody in need, I wish I could go make sandwiches for anybody. Hey, want a sandwich? Eat. So anything I can do to help with the use of community radio, and local radio is so rare now too. as you all know, with corporations taking over and syndicated radio shows and things like that, even local radio is very rare. So whenever I have a chance, yeah, I do tell everybody. I've so far been at KFOX for less than a year. I've had 2 bosses, and each of them I've said, you got to move to Pacifica. Oh my God, it's so great. You come around the bend on Highway 1, and as soon as you see that ocean and those hills, you just feel centered, and you just feel focused. So I have to thank, Pacifica, but all of you people who make it so comfortable. So I just hope that I can become more of a part of the fabric of the community, and I thank you so much for sort of getting me out of my deck, my corner where I like to sit and take pictures. So I appreciate it very much. And thank you so much to the PCT and all the fellow honorees. I know you all just by name, but now I know you by face too, so that's great. Thank you so much. Take care.
I think now I'm supposed to hand over to close our evening the exalted chairman of PCT, Mr. Dennis Willis.
He didn't lay it on nearly as thick as Steve did at the beginning. Hey, did everybody have a good time tonight? A lot of good messages tonight. A lot of wonderful personalities, and so great to meet a lot of you. And this is a great night. It's wonderful. And one of the traditions we like to do when we close this out, we don't do it every single year, but we like to point out things that may be a little off the beaten path, maybe right in front of us, and you don't quite realize what that is. And what I'm getting at is that's the surprise honoree. Now, a couple of years ago, as a tradition, they got me pretty good, and I think it's probably, I'm not bad on the microphone, it's the worst thing I've ever done on the mic, what with my stumbling and everything. And then it was Mr. Jonathan, who's gone now, but we honored him, actually, and he was far more eloquent. And so at this time, I would like to call the attention to my esteemed partner and colleague of almost 30 years, Mr. Stephen Kirk. Come on over. He doesn't get this look on his... No, I'm not done. Hold on. You'll get your turn in a second. Now, here's the deal. I know. See, note that look on his face. This guy is cool as a cucumber under most circumstances, and I actually live for the moment where I can catch him completely off guard. I sure hope you got that on camera, Richard. So here's the deal. Steve Kirk isn't just a friend of mine. He's not just a member of my family. He's not just one of my most trusted people in my life, one of my most trusted colleagues. He's not just one of my best friends. He's somebody who I've had the honor of working with side by side creatively from the day he walked into PCT in 1985. And together we did almost 500 episodes of Soundwaves. We put the 30-hour marathon on the air, which created Soundwaves Christmas. And in 1991, it's worth pointing out that this guy moved to Los Angeles, and every single year since has come up to help the city of Pacifica and now all the communities that we are in to raise food, clothing, and toys and awareness. We've worked on so many projects together, radio projects, TV projects. We're working on something tomorrow. When I think of something to work on, he's the first guy I go to, and when I think of somebody I want to talk to, he's the first guy I pick up the phone and talk to. I love you, my brother. Congratulations, Stephen Kirk. This is for almost 30 years of working on Soundwaves Christmas, honoring this community, helping this community, traveling for this community, and even though you're in LA, caring about this community. So thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, absolutely not in 100 million years did I expect that I would be up here doing this, because I don't live here anymore. Now, I did for 20 years. I lived in Pacifica. I lived with my brother and my mom, and they all moved back to various places. I moved down to LA, but I've got to be honest with you, with the exception of upstate New York, where I was born and I grew up, and even though I've lived down in LA for 20 years, I really still consider Pacifica to be a home to me. I love coming up here. I love spending time here. I love doing things for the community. Pacifica is really a special place. It really is. And you can tell the love for this place just from the honorees tonight, the people that talk so heartfelt about this area. I mean, you can live in Los Angeles or New York, and it's your place where you work, or it's a place where you hang your hat, but so many people consider Pacifica to be home. And I'm just really glad for the small part that I can do during the Soundwaves Christmas that we do. We're closing on 30 years of trying, and the telethon, I come up and help out with the telethon, sure. But thank you very much. Thanks to the board, thanks to the community. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. Seriously, Pacifica, that small town community is so rare these days. And especially with the type of technology that you're talking about, with the communities, this global community, and everything is so big and so broad, it is so centering, and it is so nice to be able to come to a place like Pacifica and just be able to feel like, it's nice here. It's home. It's quiet. It's comfortable. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, give it up for Mr. Stephen Kirk. This guy has racked up more frequent flyer miles for Pacifica than anybody I know, and he deserves it. And thank you, Steve. Thank you for coming. He had no idea. Even down to the last moment, I was pointing into the crowd. Was that did that fool you a little bit? Yeah, good. Folks, while we're saying thank you again, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of the volunteers. Again, it takes a village, or in our case, now that we've expanded, we're talking about several villages and several hamlets up and down the coast side. Pacific Coast TV, it's not just Pacifica, it is also Half Moon Bay, it is also the Mid-Coast, and it is also Pescadero and all the folks that live there, because we're all one coast side here in San Mateo County. And with that, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. And thank you to our volunteers, and thank you to our wonderful, wonderful board of directors who made this night such a very special event. We love you. And Mr. Jonathan Markham, an MC without equal, thank you so very much. Thank you, and good night.